Eddie Barron is a person that I met during college in French class. He's a free thinker. He plays music, the bass. He produces music sometimes, and he's an interesting guy to talk to. So I sat down with him for an episode of Kevin Talks to People. Please enjoy. Welcome to the Kevin Talks to People podcast. Thank you for tuning in once again. This is our second episode. You're here with me and Ed Barron. Ed, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking me.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thanks for sitting in with me on my podcast adventure. This is my second episode. I recorded one with Nicholas Rafsky, my roommate, a long time ago.
I listened. It was good.
Really?
Got me intrigued.
It was, yeah. I put it out a long time ago, and I named it Episode 1, and then Episode 2 sort of never came. What are we doing?
We got some activities planned.
A few.
Yeah, one of them is making root beer floats. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we're gonna make some root beer floats, and otherwise, we're hanging out in Ed's apartment. We just ate some pizza from Sal's, the best pizza place, and we're sipping on some Dos Equis, waiting for the Mike Tyson fight to begin.
It's gonna be a great night.
Do you think that you would fight somebody as a 58-year-old man? If you were a 58-year-old man.
Oh, you're saying... I thought you were asking me if I would fight a 58-year-old man.
Well, no. Put yourself in a 58-year-old man's shoes and then decide, would you fight somebody?
Well, I'm a lover. I'm not a fighter.
Mm.
I don't want to hurt anyone. I'm a pacifist, Kevin.
I understand that.
But if we're talking just for sport...
Yeah.
That's a different story, I think.
It's a different game.
If I'm 58, I think, yeah, I would fight someone.
For millions of dollars.
Yeah, I mean, if you throw in the millions of dollars, I'm not going to deny it.
Even though you're a pacifist.
Well, I'm a pacifist in real life solutions. If the sport is about boxing, that's a little different, I think.
Okay.
I think if I was playing another sport and then a fight broke out, I wouldn't fight anyone then.
No.
But no.
Really? What if somebody had slighted your teammate?
No, I don't think violence would solve that.
What if they called you a bitch?
Once again, got to take the high road there, Kevin.
Take the high road. Wow. That's impressive.
Fighting, what am I going to do? I'm going to hit him? What's that going to prove?
I don't know.
I don't need to prove that.
I've never hit anybody before, actually. Have you ever hit anybody?
I don't think any of the hits that I've thrown have counted. They're just like, boxing with my brother. For sport,
Yeah, that's for sport.
That's different.
I suppose I've thrown perhaps an open-handed slap before, but it was never in anger.
Is that what counts, whether or not it's in anger?
Well, I feel like it has to be served with some sort of malicious intent, You have to be truly meaning the person harm. And a slap can be a variety of things, In the situation where I slapped somebody, I was invited to do it.
Did you ever slap me?
I don't think I ever slapped you, no. You're slapped by mostly women, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, I've been slapped.
But you invite them to slap you.
I don't mind it.
Yeah.
People find it fun. It's a fun thing.
Like
I haven't gotten slapped in a while, but I've been slapped.
Well, it's a bit of a pickup line.
It could be, for sure. I mean, I don't think that's ever worked for me.
Oh, no, it hasn't. Oh.
But could be. Never tried it. I don't think I'll try that.
Okay.
I think my getting slapped days are behind me.
I was under the impression that you had tried it.
I might have.
I think you might have, but who knows?
It's been years, Kevin.
It has. It's been years. You're a pacifist now, so you would never invite that sort of thing.
I feel like pacifist has a negative connotation in today's world. I think people hear pacifist and they don't associate it with just being a loving, good person. They associate it instead with weakness and being afraid. And I don't know why.
Yeah.
Why do you think?
I don't know. I kind of understand where you're coming from there. Like, if you were to put out on Twitter, perhaps, I'm a pacifist.
If I was to say it in the middle of someone saying you want to step outside.
Well, maybe it's because of this sort of fight culture being bred amongst young men today. That's the Andrew Tate thing of the world. You have to be an alpha. You can't stand down from anybody. That sort of situation.
Yeah.
But in reality, you should rise above.
Yeah, it just seems very anti what I stand for as a person to fight someone.
No, I mean, you want to all get along.
Yeah.
You're sort of a we're all one thing kind of guy.
Yeah, peace and love, we're all one thing.
Yeah. I see the Tao Te Ching over there.
You see what I've been reading?
Yeah, I see, you've been studying up on your Eastern philosophy, which is relevant. If you were to rank philosophies, 1 and then 2, Eastern, Western.
Oh, well.
Where do you go?
What would you even consider a Western philosophy?
I guess that would be like Plato, Aristotle to me.
That's Western?
Stuff coming out of Rome.
Well, I really, really like Stoicism.
Yeah.
But Stoicism only works, I think, in combination with Taoism.
With Tao?
Yeah, you need both.
Interesting.
My whole opinion on philosophy is that the balance of those two philosophies, the yin-yang of the Stoic knowing the right thing to do and aiming for the right thing to do, and then the Tao letting what happens and letting your life flow.
Yeah.
And not falling victim to getting too caught up and always getting everything exactly right. You need that balance, and that's my philosophy.
Absolutely.
Which I guess wouldn't be really east or west. It would be somewhere in the middle.
Somewhere in the middle. Yeah, exactly.
And also bouncing between the two.
You can't really rank the two because they're both great. Do you think Marcus Aurelius knew about the Tao?
No.
I doubt he did.
I don't think so.
He was a pretty sad guy.
Yeah, seems like it, right? See, I think he was all Stoic and he missed the Tao, and he took it upon himself to like feel all the pain of the self-inflicting I'm not like good enough because I'm not there. And I'm sure that's just part of his story, and there were some days where he probably didn't feel that way, but through reading his book.
Yeah. So he didn't really. Oh, it seems like he could have. Through reading his book, it seems like he didn't really let the happy in very much. It seems like he generally tried to not let anything in.
That's a tough way to live.
It is a tough way to live. It's good to let things in. Speaking of which, let's go let some root beer and ice cream into our bodies.
Oh, I'm so excited.
All right, why don't you get the phone and I'll get the recorder here.
Okay.
And we'll move to the kitchen very slowly.
Here we go.
Podcast on the move. Kevin Talks to People
PCOTM
is a mobile podcast. People need to remember this sort of thing. We're going to slowly make our way into the kitchen. We're not going to mess with the microphones. We're going to back it up. Let's put this recorder over here, I think. And then
want to set this up?
The phone, yeah, let's put the phone.
Make sure it's still recording.
I believe it is. Yeah, there we go. We're 7 minutes in.
Oh.
That's my headphones. So let's just put that on the stove over there.
Okay.
That'll be good there.
I don't know if that's going to capture our root beer making.
Well, it's on a wide angle.
Okay.
Once we get into the root beer making, I'll pick it up and I'll hold it. How's that sound?
Sounds great.
So let's
let me clear some
space. It's important to, generally speaking, keep your countertop more or less tidy. Would you agree?
I would love to agree, but you look at my countertop and clearly I don't practice that.
Well, I feel like this is pretty good, honestly.
Oh.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kevin.
I like how the 4 glasses are in a row. Yeah. No, I mean, I've seen far worse. And half of the issue here is my pizza box.
Oh, dude, here. Hand me the pizza box.
Oh, okay.
I'll take it.
You can get that. My hands are preoccupied.
We'll put this
I'm podcasting.
Spot right here.
Yeah, there we go.
Are you podcasting? Or are you casting? Are you potting?
I'm podcasting. I'm a podcaster. All right, here we go. We got some mug root beer.
We got some mug
root beer, a classic flavor. I'm going to put that down now. Okay.
Next up.
I'm going to get the phone over here.
Next up, we got some.
Let's get in on this angle.
Now,
if you're not watching the video, you're missing out.
My headphones are not allowing me. Let me.
Okay, yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah. You're good there. You're just going to have to reach.
We got ice cream.
Ice cream, a vanilla Edie's. To describe it to the listeners. So
vanilla bean.
We have a vanilla bean from Edie's. Isn't this Dryers in parts of the country?
Is it what?
I think I got stumped by that in trivia
Briars?
one time. Briars or Dryers?
I've seen both Briars and Edie's when trying to pick this up.
What's Dryers? There's one with a D.
I don't know.
Why
would they change it?
Okay, Ed just got 2 frosted Heineken glasses out of the freezer.
So we're going to make our
frosted
float.
glasses are important. So I'm going to let you take the reins here.
All right.
Because you're the expert. You've been doing this more frequently than me. I can't say I've had a root beer float in years.
Did this last night, and I was taught by a very wise sensei how to make this.
Okay.
So I know what to do.
Okay. Would you say that you achieved some level of mastery, or you're still relatively a pupil?
I'd say I'm still a pupil.
Yeah. For all intents and purposes.
But who knows?
Yeah.
After this, you tell me if you think.
I'll tell you. I'm going to sit back and observe, and I'm going to keep narrating. So why don't you put the mic down, and I'll narrate what's going on here.
That's a great idea.
Because you're going to need 2 hands to pull this off. All right, I'm just going to turn. You know, that's fine. Yep, that's fine. All right, so here we go. Ed is reaching for the Edie's ice cream, vanilla bean, as we mentioned. He's removed the lid, and he's taking a spoon. It's not an ice cream scooping spoon, but it's a large spoon. He has a medium-sized scoop. It doesn't quite fit into the glass, but he's going to use his fingers and push it down.
You don't mind?
He asked my permission. I don't care. So I've granted him permission to finger my ice cream. That's totally fine. He's going for another scoop, slightly smaller this time. Don't overload me on the ice cream. I'm lactose intolerant, so
2 scoops will be just.
2 scoops is perfect for me, I think. So does this come across more of as a drink or more as something you eat with a spoon, would you say?
Well, the nature of the float is the yin yang of the spoon and the drink. You need to do both. You need to find your own balance. Absolutely.
Wow, 2 mentions of yin yang so far. So
if you look to the
on the wall there's a painting. Is this a painting or is it a print? Would you say?
It's a print.
A print. It's a print.
I went 3 scoops.
But it depicts the yin yang. 3 scoops for Ed. He is less sensitive to dairy than me. Less inclined to poop. Oh, and he's going to have a little bite for himself right now. Ed, how did that taste?
Yummy.
There's a little ASMR for you. We do it all on the Kevin Talks to People podcast, so let's keep that in mind. We're a podcast on the move. We're doing ASMR. We're talking about things. All sorts of things. Next up, the root beer. Ed's removing the top of the liter of mug root beer. There's a nice fizz. There's still some bubble in there. He's going to make a pour. Oh, he's executed a dainty pour across the top of the ice cream. Slight melt. It's fizzing to the top. That's a nice head. That's a nice head. Executing the second glass. Very similar execution. Wow. Brings the bubbles right to the brim of the glass, but not over. Some would say a masterful performance. Would you say your sensei would be proud?
I think I have more work to do. Just a second.
Oh, okay. He's not done yet.
Mind?
I don't mind at all. Oh, wow. Oh, he's going in with the finger. He's removed some of the bubbles with the finger, and now he's licked it. He's tasted the bubbles. Root beer. Okay. He's topping it off with one more dosage of root beer here. That's what we like to see. I want a full serving of that mug. No caffeine, because it's a bit late at night right now. I can't have caffeine this late. I've been drinking lots of coffee lately.
Yeah.
Lots. We're talking 3 to 4 cups a day.
I've never had coffee.
Never had coffee? Actually, I did know that about you, honestly.
I tried it
because
once.
I've had coffee here before. You had a coffee machine, and I was like, how do you use this? And you were like, I don't know. I've never used it before.
I don't.
And I was like, very interesting that you own a coffee machine. Oh, Ed's going to go wash his hands now. Here, I'll get you in on this. Oh, yeah, that's the good stuff. I'm sure you guys really enjoyed that. He's using a Blue Method soap. I believe it's sea minerals flavor.
You know what would have been good? If I washed my hands before touching your ice cream.
Ooh, that might have been an ideal situation. But your hands have only been on this microphone, and my microphones are pristine, obviously, because I take them on the road. All right, here we go. He's dried his hands with a paper towel.
Where do you take those microphones?
All over the place. Kevin Talks to People is a mobile podcast. People forget. Or maybe they never even learned. Okay, Ed's picked up his microphone again. It seems like we're back. We're back to a two-man setup.
We're back.
Yeah. Do you think I carried the weight?
Back.
Do you think I carried the weight there?
Yeah. You carried a huge load on your back, dude.
I feel like I did a pretty good job. I was pretty happy with that.
Why don't...
All right, we're going to have to figure this out. Why don't...
I can carry one at a time.
Yeah.
With my spare hand.
Yeah. Let's...
Here, I'll take yours over.
All right, so let's just make 3 trips. Yeah. Let's just make 3 trips.
Here's
all right, so Kevin and Ed
one.
making trip number 1 back to the sofa. And the first root beer is down.
Here comes
There's a bit of a comeback here from the Brooklyn Nets. We're watching the Brooklyn Nets play the New York Knicks. Bit of a classic New York matchup. Ed is picking up the second root beer float. Goodbye, video viewers. And we are making the trip back to the sofa once more.
Getting a little tangled here, Kevin.
A little bit tangled up. I'll come around the side. And the second root beer float has hit the table. Bit of a
now for the video
for you there. And now we go get the phone. You get that phone. And let's get ourselves back into place here. Hello. Hi. Hello. Hi. This part's for the video people. All right. The phone is down. Kevin is sat. Ed is sat. The podcast recorder is back in place. I believe that merits a round of applause. Yeah, I've got great sound effects on here. They all came preloaded. I one day I'll load my own, and then we'll really be cooking.
Kev, I want to be wary that we don't damage any of your equipment, so I might place the microphone on the table and then just wolf down this root beer float.
That's I just have to say that's not good podcasting.
What if you wolf down your root beer float? I can carry the weight, and then we switch.
Okay, that works. Okay, so why don't you just carry the weight for a second? I need to do something on my computer. You just carry the weight for a second, and then I'll be right back.
Okay, sure.
Okay, cool. Viewers, I'll be right here. Don't worry. You can still watch me on video. Ed's going to carry the weight.
All right. Guess it's my turn to monologue just a bit. What do we want to talk about? You know, last time Kevin and I tried to make a podcast together, it didn't go so well. We didn't get great material. But one thing that I think remains from that podcast that I'd like to bring back up is the concept of the anything bagel. Now, everyone knows about the everything bagel, but the anything bagel, that's up to interpretation because it's not a thing yet. I was first thinking of the anything bagel as just it's a random bagel. Who knows what happens with it? You just get anything on it. It's just an anything bagel. But the same sensei who taught me about root beer floats mentioned that perhaps it's a make your own bagel kind of vibe, where you sit down at the restaurant, choose the anything bagel, you choose your own seasonings, and you can put anything you want on that bagel. That sounds like a lot more fun. Kevin, how's this root beer float?
It's good. It's really good. I got a little bit on my nose.
Yeah. Yeah, you did.
I think that means it's time to go in with the spoon.
Yeah. So it's always good to get a new perspective on an old idea. I guess the moral of that story.
That is the moral of that story, because that really changes the game of the anything bagel. When we originally concepted the anything bagel, it was a little bit similar to the everything bagel, because the everything bagel is already a bagel with pretty much anything on it. It's more or less, well, it's everything. So it's everything that goes on any other bagel all at once. But when you break that down, it's really anything you can find in a bagel store. So an everything bagel is kind of already an anything bagel. So I'm very supportive of this new generation concept of the anything bagel.
You know, this brings up an idea.
Yeah.
The difference between anything and everything, something and nothing, everything and nothing, 0 and 1. Mm-hmm. The closer you get to 1, the closer you get to 0.
Yeah.
I mean, you know. things like that.
I feel like we're back on the yin and yang.
I
in
think
my mind,
a lot comes back to yin and yang.
Yeah, like everything and nothing to me are pretty much the same thing. Like there's no difference when you think of it. I obviously like. So, let's use this as an example. Think about if you have all of the money. If you have all of the money, then do you really have any money?
I think that's a great prompt.
Because you have all the money. So
if you have all the money, then it doesn't really matter.
Well, then money is worth nothing to you because you have all of it. Right?
I'm on the same page as you. Something, nothing.
Obviously, it's pretty impossible for one person to have all of the money. That's why humans are inherently greedy, because you can always have more. You can never have.
Do you think
everything.
Humans are inherently greedy, or do you think the system that most humans currently occupy breeds us to be greedy by nature? And if we were a part of a system that didn't cultivate greed, maybe human nature would appear different.
I think humans are inherently greedy.
Interesting.
Just based off going back to the earliest civilizations, you go and maraud and pillage your neighbors to take what they have because you want it, more or less. Like, you can break that down for pretty much any civilization in history. There's never been a time without conflict or a time without war, and that's ultimately driven by people wanting more than what they have.
Do you think that's driven by scarcity?
Scarcity?
The lack of having? So if needs were all taken care of for every person,
I guess so.
Do you think people would still be greedy?
I feel like it depends on who's in charge. Like, you have to look at the largest empires to ever sort of be created, right? So, like, maybe like the Mongols is a good example. Like, that's pretty much the biggest empire ever. But even when they had the biggest empire, they still went and tried to get more. So, like, they weren't really lacking anything, especially the guy that was in charge. But he still wanted more shit.
So, I think what I mean by what I was asking was, if everyone in that empire has their needs met, their basic needs, like, you know, the whole hierarchy of needs, their needs are all met.
Yeah.
They're feeling satisfied with their lives. Do you think the greed ends on a human nature scale?
I don't think that the greed is driven by everybody not having their needs met, because the small people who aren't having their needs met aren't the ones driving the conflict. The richest, most powerful person who already has all of their needs met is the one driving the conflict, trying to amass more. So everybody could have their needs met, and that could get rid of conflict, but you would need to not have that one power figure at the top driving.
You know what's interesting to think about?
What?
Thinking about historical figures that have been portrayed to us as these almost not real people, just like mythological creatures, like
myths,
like Genghis Khan, things like that. Just thinking of them as real people with the same anxieties and everything that we have today. So Genghis Khan, well, all his needs were met, right? Well, maybe not.
Yo, bro had so many wives.
Maybe bro was really searching for something and he couldn't find it.
That one shouty.
Maybe he lost her early. Maybe he found a good girl, dude, and
he lost her.
And messed up, lost her, and his whole time he was searching for other people, and because of the power he achieved and the way the world was at the time, he was able to do all those things with it. Usually that's what it'll probably come down to. He's a person at the end of the day. Yeah,
but you don't gotta kill millions of people over shouty.
You don't, but in the day and age, he had the ability to. But he was probably just looking for something. Maybe it was a mom issue. I'm sure his mother wasn't the best mom. I find it hard to believe Genghis Khan's mom was this loving, nurturing mother who provided Genghis Khan with unconditional love.
I don't know. Probably not, right?
I would think that's probably why Genghis.
I can't really speak on Genghis Khan's mommy issues.
I don't know too much about it, but
I would imagine it wasn't a secure household. Maybe it was like a fatherless household type situation, because that creates a lot of internal strife, growing up without a father.
Certainly.
That's a big problem. It causes a lot of violence. If you look at the statistics, that sort of thing. So maybe Genghis Khan he didn't have a daddy. Maybe he had daddy issues.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
Whatever the issue was, I have a feeling it was more than just I want more money or I want more power.
Oh.
It was deeper than that.
There's something going on in there, but like you also have to consider that sociopaths exist.
It's definitely true.
Yeah.
But do you think is sociopathic tendencies, they're probably driven from those things like father and mother issues, right? Not just only genetics.
I don't know.
It's probably from the circumstances.
Not qualified. I can speculate once more.
That's all we're really doing.
I thought sociopaths was some sort of psychological dysfunction in your brain, but maybe that's
triggered by
it could be triggered by
early trauma. You know?
Yeah, it could be triggered by something early on. I don't know. It's an interesting way to look at it.
I like thinking of
many myths.
Thinking of historical figures in that way sometimes. You know, they were just dudes. George Washington. You know, he was just like.
I was just thinking George Washington.
He was That's
crazy. How about that, bro?
We're on the same wave right now.
Well, yeah, I think we got the same sort of shit going on.
You know, GW. He was pissed. He was just an angry guy. He got some people together and they started a revolution.
You think he was pissed?
Oh, he had to have been.
He must have been pissed.
He seemed violently angry.
I've listened to some podcasts about GW before, but it was one of those situations where, like a reluctant leader, which are often the best leaders, where, you know, he was pinned down at a fort, his troops were down pretty bad, and he sort of got thrust into a position where he had to lead these men, and he was so tall, because George Washington was, what, like 6'5"? I think he was like 6'5".
I don't know.
Which at the time, people back then were like, they're averaging out like 5'8". So 6'5" then is like 6'9" now, you know. So he was a monster, and he had this flaming red hair, and he was like, "Let's go fight." And everybody was like, "Hell yeah, dude! Let's go fight."
It's that simple sometimes.
Sometimes you just need a tall ginger to lead the way, dude. Good root beer float, man.
Good root beer float, right?
Mm-hmm. Really, really solid. Haven't had one in a long time, like I said, but ultimately really, really solid.
Floats and ice cream sodas, things of that ilk.
Top tier dessert. Yeah, absolutely. Because, like, soda's not really a dessert, right?
No, but you add ice cream to it.
But you add ice cream to it, and ice cream is a dessert. But it's like the soda enhances the ice cream, you know?
It's a really good combo.
It's interesting that people don't view soda as a dessert, because it is essentially like a dessert. You're just drinking it. But it's like people drink dessert all the time. Like, you can't eat dessert all the time. So why are you drinking dessert all the time, right? You should just treat it as a little treat. You can't drink dessert all the time. Could you imagine if you drank a milkshake with every meal?
Oh, I love milkshakes, and that would probably ruin milkshakes, because the great thing about milkshakes is you don't have them often.
No.
You know, this is day 2 in a row of my root beer floats. Yeah. And I'm not, you know, the first one, maybe Sensei just made it a lot better. But
You think yours was inferior to Sensei's?
But truthfully, I think really what it probably was the first time I had the root beer float 2 days in a row. It's like, well,
there was less scarcity. I absolutely understand that.
If I just have a root beer float every day, it's not special anymore.
And I haven't had a root beer float in years, and it really, really hit. See? But if I wake up tomorrow, I'm not going to want a root beer float.
Yeah.
Because I just had one. Let me have something different. So I appreciate you making it for me, even though you might not have wanted one yourself.
I did want one. Oh. I think I kind of had the realization that a root beer float every day isn't good after having the second one. Because after the first one, I was like, wow, I could do this every day.
Yeah. So how many things every day are good?
I think the simpler things are good every day.
Yeah.
And the luxuries, the the sweet treats, things like that, they're more good on occasion.
Yeah.
And varied. But the simple things,
apples,
brushing your teeth.
Brushing your teeth.
It's good to do
twice
every day. Twice a day.
Ideally twice.
That's how simple that one is.
You should not just be doing that once a day. Do it twice.
Twice a day.
Yeah. I mean, exercise every day is generally regarded as good for you. You just have to get yourself there. Obviously, apples. I'm allergic to apples, so I don't eat them.
Me too.
Yeah, dude? Dude, come on. Allergic to apples, gang.
What happens?
What happens?
Oh, man.
What happens to you?
Face gets all itchy, like my lips, ears, throat.
Lips?
Yeah, dude, you've got the same thing as me.
And like my tongue gets like
my
puffy.
tongue. Guess what's going to start happening?
What?
More fruits are going to get added to your list.
No, that happened. That's why I had to stop fruit time.
Yeah.
For real.
What happened to me. It
was devastating.
Fruits get cut off my list, a new one like once every few months, and I get so sad because I really like fruit.
Yeah.
But every time I eat fruit, most fruits, there's a few I can still. Is banana a fruit?
Banana's a fruit.
I can still eat bananas.
Yeah. I can still eat bananas. There's very few I can eat at this point.
Me too, dude. I've been going through it. It sucks.
I can't eat any
but
stone fruit.
You know what? You know what? Stone fruit. Yeah, that's what I
can't eat any stone fruit.
You know what the thing is, though? I learned what it's called, like oral allergy syndrome.
Okay.
It's like your brain kind of tricks you into thinking that you're allergic to it, but you're not really.
What?
So you're never going to die from it. It's never going to be like asphyxiation or anything, but it's uncomfortable.
Oh.
So you can power through if you really want to.
So it's all from my brain?
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that. So this happened to me when I was doing the Fruit Time series. If anybody's followed me on social media in the past, you'll remember.
I used to love that series.
I did a series called Fruit Time where I would have a fruit, I would eat it, I would commentate throughout, and then I would tell you how I felt about it. And that was the basis of the series.
Want a pillow?
Very simple. Sure. I'm all about this like simple content, you know. Kevin talks to people. Fruit Time. It's very simple. It's straightforward. And I was doing it. I did like maybe 20 episodes, and then I started having this reaction because I was getting into sort of the the nectarines and the plums of the world, and more and more often I was having this reaction after every episode, and I was like, dang, I think I'm just allergic to fruit now. And it just it just fizzled out because I just couldn't do it.
Happened to me.
I started basically just eating like variants of bananas, and I was like,
"Wait, what variants?
There's not that many
plantains."
Well, like so there's like tiny bananas. You ever have tiny bananas?
Never had a tiny.
They look
banana.
like fingers.
What?
And they're kind of like creamier. It's a weird flavor, honestly. So the last one I ever did was tiny bananas. I sucked down. Like,
I didn't see that episode.
I sucked down like 4 tiny bananas. But yeah, I did like 3 different oranges, and then I think I did like 2 or 3 bananas, and I was like, this is getting too repetitive.
Wow.
And then it died, which was sad.
I've got a question for you to change the topic.
Okay. Yeah.
How do you think, having had conversations with me several times on podcasting equipment and without.
Yeah.
We've spoken countless times without podcasting equipment,
sure.
And then a number of times with recording and things like that. I feel like the conversation doesn't change so much. This is kind of how we talk usually. The only thing that changes is I'm a little bit more conscious to not curse as much.
Yeah.
And once in a while I feel like I'm more pointed on the subject. I don't stray off topic as much.
Yeah, you're doing less of a weave.
I have less belly laughs because I'm like more composed.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely.
What else do you think?
Maybe it's a little less silly. For me, I'm just like being a little bit more conscious about not interjecting, because a lot of the times when we talk, we'll kind of just go back and forth really rapid fire, and that's come through a little bit here, I think, especially when we were over there.
Yeah.
But now I don't know, it's like I have a thing to say and then you have a thing to say, and that's sort of the dichotomy of a podcast. Right?
Yeah, I guess so.
In my mind, that's like the only change I feel like I'm making to our conversation. Otherwise, it feels relatively the same. Maybe I'm speaking a bit more formally.
I think I'm definitely speaking more formally.
I'm trying to be clear.
I think it's funny to speak formally. Like, I'm cracking myself up.
On the intro, when I was like, all right, welcome to Kevin Talks to People podcast.
I don't think it's funny to listen.
Love that shit.
Maybe it's not funny to listen to. I don't know if it is. Yeah. But to talk like this is hilarious.
Who's listening?
No, if nobody's watching, there's no reason to hide.
Exactly, so we can do
we can just do whatever.
We can do it on here. It's Kevin talks to people.
Kevin's just talking to people.
I'm talking to people. I want to talk. The only thing I actually wanted to talk to you about was the band a little bit.
Sure.
Let's just run through a whole timeline of your bass playing career. Because I remember when you first got the bass was for Christmas, right? Christmas, your sophomore year, or your birthday?
Dude, you have a great memory.
Yeah, it was sophomore year because I was living in Findlay, and you were living with Tim.
I was living with Tim Cavanaugh, Timmy Tires.
Go.
Yeah, wow, what an interesting question. I kind of when we talked about doing this podcast, I didn't even think that I was going to be asked that, which is kind of funny because it's kind of what I do most of the time.
Yeah, I think it's rather relevant.
And I'm the guest on the podcast.
Look around the room; it's full of music paraphernalia.
Yeah. No,
we're definitely going to talk about music a little bit.
That's great. Bass timeline. So
yeah,
I'll take you even further back.
Okay.
I'm gonna start from my early musical days.
Sick.
Oh, I'm gonna go further back than anything I've ever told anyone because I just thought of this now.
Deep history.
I'm talking in the womb.
Deep Ed lore.
Baby Mozart.
Oh.
You ever listen to Baby Mozart?
Like, in the womb?
In the womb or like shortly thereafter. I don't remember when.
I would have to ask my parents. I don't really know.
I listened to Baby Mozart.
Yeah, so they were feeding it to you?
Yeah, I always loved music though. My dad always played his music. My mom always played her music, like 80s stuff from my mom, a lot of classic rock from my dad, and also some new stuff. And so I was always inspired by that. And then I got into playing the saxophone in grade school, and I was really good at that.
I also played the saxophone.
You played sax?
Oh, yeah.
Dude, how did I never know that?
3-4 years of solid sax.
I played 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. 6 years of saxophone.
Okay, so I was 4 through 8.
And I was actually really good at it. I played in this Hofstra orchestra once in 8th grade.
Dude, sick.
And it was a lot of fun. And then I really disappointed my band teachers by choosing not to continue in high school. But truthfully, I wasn't really feeling the saxophone anymore.
Yeah.
It wasn't me.
It's just an instrument.
I left music behind for a little bit there.
Yeah.
And then later in high school, I really found my roots of what kind of music I started to really love, which was alternative rock, the Chili Peppers.
Yeah.
Come sophomore year of college, I'm deep into the Chili Peppers. They're my favorite band.
Yeah.
And my friend Matt Mormile, who you know, gets an acoustic guitar, brings it in, and he's just playing the acoustic guitar in his room. I would come over, I'd mess around with it a little. I'd never played any guitar, and I really liked it, but I didn't want to play guitar. It just didn't feel like me. So I was always listening to the Chili Peppers, and Flea is so amazing.
Yeah.
I was in the car with my dad and my mom, and I said I'd really like to play bass. Like, could I get a bass for Christmas? And it was like this big ask for me. I felt like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like I'm gonna pick music up again. They always loved when I played music.
Good investment, though.
And both of them were like, "What? Bass guitar? Like, where's this coming from? What do you want?" And I was like, I want to play like Flea, and I played "Torture Me" by the Red Hot Chili Peppers, which is this absurd song. It's so funny, and it's got the craziest bass line. And they were just looking at me like, "What?
What are you talking about?"
But they got me the bass. They got me a starter kit.
Lovely.
It's actually the first bass that's hanging up right there.
Nice. I love that bass.
It's a great bass.
Yeah, it's a
and I started to learn to play. I really just considered it a hobby.
Mm-hmm.
I play sophomore year and then junior year of college, just really on my own, not playing with anyone. Then COVID hits. I get a little bit more into it. I start, writing some of my own bass lines. Not really doing anything with them though. Just learning how to do it. But learning a lot of songs still.
We're good there.
Cool.
Keep going.
And college ends. Still never really played with anyone since saxophone days.
Yeah.
And then I meet at a college, not a college party, a party after college, a few months after I graduated. I met Hannah Malillo, who ends up, she's a singer, and I was showing her a list of band names on my phone because we were talking about music. I've had so many band names.
Expansive list.
You've made so many of them with me.
Oh, you've had Long lists.
Long list of band names, and I always love talking about it with people. People always found it funny. She's like, "Oh, did you know I sing?"
Yeah.
It's like, "No, did you know I play bass?" She's like, "What? No."
Huh?
We joked, "Oh, we should start a band."
Mm-hmm.
A few months later, we've started working on a few musical ideas together. Put out a Craigslist ad. Find Jared Myers, the guitarist.
Good.
We auditioned a bunch of people, but Jared was the right vibe.
Yeah.
Month or two later, my friend Caitlin finds a guy on Hinge playing the drums and says, "Do you want to be in my friend's band?" That's Ben Helmkamp. He joins our band. Limbo Baby is formed.
Dude, Limbo Baby was sick.
We start playing together a lot. I'm getting much better at the bass. I have a new bass that I got for this band because I figured I had to step my game up.
Absolutely. Well, you're doing like live performances.
Live performances begin. First live shows in New York City. We really are tearing it up. It feels like on the scene. Our friends are coming. We're playing these shows. It's a ton of fun.
Yeah.
A couple of years go by. We put out a few singles, and I meet Dean Pagano, who has also been in the band scene in New York City with his band Trip the Squid.
Trip the Squid.
We start making some music together.
Absolutely.
And the first song we ever made together, the first song that we ever released together.
Yeah.
We made plenty of other songs before that, but the first song we ever released together was Smoke Slide.
Yeah.
We released it just under our names, Eddie Barron, Dean Pagano, and Kevin Deneen made the music video with us.
Me right here.
Chillest song of all time with the dankest music video of all time.
So dang.
Oh my God. It was great.
Dang. But I remember that day when we were wandering around Central Park, and Dean was kind of describing how you guys wanted it to be. He basically, like, what I remembered was him hammering home, like, I want it to be completely unpredictable.
Yeah.
Like, where is this going? And I feel like we definitely captured that.
It was a lot of fun. That was such a fond memory.
Yeah. Oh, great day.
Really, really great day.
Some great pictures, too.
I think what we did that day just encapsulated, like, what the song was.
Mm-hmm.
Just that free-flowing vibe. And then we made a song after that which felt like the opposite.
Mm.
The Plan.
The Plan, yeah.
It was like Smoke Slide was this completely unstructured, free-flowing, chill vibe. And The Plan was this structured rock song following a plan, it felt like,
Yeah, absolutely.
And that was the first time I ever sang, too, on a record in The Plan. So that was a lot of fun.
That's pretty crazy.
It was pushing myself to expand more musically.
Yeah.
Because I'd never been a backup singer or anything like that. I'd only been a bass player.
Yeah.
But now I had started to get into music production. I started to sing a little and push myself musically.
Yeah.
After The Plan, Dean and I decided that we wanted to really push ourselves musically and make an album. Eventually, that album becomes Ditch the Mold, and we form a band called Ditch the Mold.
Yeah, self-titled.
Self-titled.
Did the name of the album come first, or the name of the band come first?
Name of the band.
Yeah, name of the band.
And it was self-titled.
It was self-titled album, yeah.
Yeah. And so we really dived deep over the next year.
Yeah.
Actually, during the making of The Plan, Dean's ceiling collapses, and he moves onto my couch.
A classic.
And we make this album over the next year, living together in our home studio. And
where we are right now.
Yeah, where we are right now. And we really dive deep. 11 songs. I pushed myself to learn how to mix and master, record, do everything that we need to. Learn how to use drum machines and figure out how to make our drum beats.
Yeah.
And record anything that we need to. Write these songs, sing lead vocals on some of them, backing vocals on the rest, play bass for all of them. Just really, really push myself musically. And the result was this Ditch the Mold album, which was the most amazing release of energy, it felt like.
Absolutely.
It was so great to put that out there. And on top of that, you were such a big part of making so many music videos for this album, which was the most fun.
Yeah.
Like that was after the album was finished, we just started making a lot of music videos and had the best time.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
Well, those days were ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
A lot of the music videos were basically just based around picking a ridiculous thing to do and then filming it the whole day.
Man, it was so much fun.
And then you just kind of splice it together from there. So not a lot of plot, not a lot of structure, but that's how I like to do things.
A lot of just letting whatever happens happen.
Yeah, it felt really natural.
And then from there, 3 days after the album came out, a man named Angel Tawala moved to the United States from Ecuador.
Goat.
And
don't dox him.
And messaged Ditch the Mold. Yeah. And said he really liked our stuff and wanted to jam with us. Next thing you know, Angel joins the band.
Dude, sick.
And
so sick.
We come out with our first live show at Drum, November 1st. And it was incredible. It was so much fun.
Great day.
You once again, our filmmaker, dude, you put on this incredible effort to film the whole thing for us, and it was great.
And it's been documented.
It's been documented.
And now it's out there.
It's out there now, and that first show was recorded, and so that was really fun.
You can watch that show on the Ditch the Mold YouTube channel.
It's true.
I mean, that was
so
a
that
sick
brings
day.
us.
I imagine it must have just been the most surreal release of energy. First, putting the album out after having worked on it for so long, and then actually playing in front of people after having like built this thing for such a time.
The interesting part is the album release didn't feel anywhere near Drum November 1st show when it comes to sharing with people. Mm-hmm. It feels like that was the first time I really shared the music with anyone.
Okay.
Which is really interesting to say.
Yeah.
Because it was like, oh, we released it all, but no, it was when we played that first show, that was when we really shared it with the world, it felt like.
Yeah.
And afterwards, I felt on top of the world, and I came to a lot of realizations about what my life was like over the past year.
Yeah.
And it was really impactful. Live music is just so great, and then actually putting on that performance in that show, it felt life-changing.
Absolutely.
And then all that together with the day before, I found out that this studio will be no more.
You found that out on the 31st?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that whole time.
Crazy.
Yeah, that's
wild. We found out it was time that we need to find a new place to live.
Crazy.
And so this studio where we made the album will be put to rest in just a few days, actually.
R.I.P.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And that brings us to now, man. So I know I just rambled a bit.
No, it was solid.
Sure
that was the timeline I was looking for.
That was the timeline I wanted to provide.
Absolutely. Do you think that you're pretty sick at bass?
It's funny because you go through the imposter syndrome versus getting off the stage at a show and receiving compliments.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think that's not even the right question.
No, interesting.
It's not I'm capable at servicing what our sound is supposed to be, what our band needs from that instrument.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm good at creating, driving and interesting bass lines that hopefully throw the listener off a little bit and then mesh with what Dean and Angel are doing at the same time.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes any bass player good. When it comes to sticking it, I'm not Flea. Like I love Flea, but you know, I picked it up at
it was a bit of an experience.
I picked it up at 19 years old, and I'm not as technically prowessed as him, but you know, you don't really need to be. Art and music is what you can get away with, and I can get away with putting on a good performance by jumping around, getting a mohawk, putting on a suit, and playing good enough bass lines.
Absolutely.
Where everyone loves it. And it's a lot of fun.
It's
and
very entertaining.
It's I do practice a lot, and I'm capable, I'm skilled, but you know, what is skill? it's just repeating iterations.
More or less memory.
Yeah, it's a lot of memory for the fingers, and then it's just being creative and not. A lot of it comes from just like your mindset.
Yeah.
Like if your mindset is, oh, there's no such thing as playing a wrong note, just find the right one next time.
Yeah.
Then you don't make mistakes. And if your mindset is, mesh with everyone, but also just throw them off, do things that surprise people.
Yeah. And
your brain automatically thinks about the bass players you love and inputs that influence into it. You just start coming up with creative things, and it's fun. But
that's cool.
I think
I really like to listen to the album, and like the first time through, you hear the words and the singing, and that's mostly what comes through. But I like to listen through and focus on the bass through the songs because I know that's what you're playing, and you're my buddy. And the album really comes through differently when you do it that way.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Kevin Talks to People with Ed Barron. This was our second episode. I think it went pretty well. What do you think?
Loved it.
Absolutely. Keep tuning in each week. As long as I post something, then you can listen to it. Thanks for tuning in. Kevin Talks to People. Goodbye.
See you later.